Lynn with Cat Naps Back, and so right now I'm going to show you a demonstration of cleaning your cat's ears at home. So I've kind of let King's ears get a little gross so you can really see a good gunky ear and how I would clean it. So again, I've got all of my ear and eye stuff together. I always want to make sure I keep my ear and eye stuff separate because I don't want to have any chance of touching ear products into their eyes, because a lot of ear products have a drying agent in them, which is sometimes alcohol, sometimes it's witch hazel, but either way it's not something that you want to be in a cat's eyes. So I always tend to do eyes first and then I'll do their ears, so there's no remnants of stinging products on my fingers before I start touching a cat's eyes. So eyes first, then we're going to do ears. So you can really see his ears are pretty gross. Got some pretty brown, greasy gunk in there. So again, I'm going to use my cotton balls. So I've got a good bit of cotton balls. And I really like, there's a couple products I like. Today I'm going to use the Le Pooch Metacetic Ear and Skin Cleanser. I really like this one. I found that it does not sting if there are any cuts or areas of irritation on the cat's ear or on the skin, because that's what you want to be really careful about. Remember I mentioned you don't want the product to go into the eyes. It's also important that there's no stinging or drying agent that's going to go onto an irritated ear that is also going to be uncomfortable. So this is the one I'm using today. I also really like another brand, Christensen Mystic Ear is this one that I have here. And I believe I've also mentioned the Groom makes an ear cleaner that I also really like. So I'm going to, I have it in my little hands-free container again, so I label them ear cleaner and eye cleaner. And I'm going to get the cotton ball really saturated. I want a good amount of liquid on my cotton ball because I'm going to get the liquid to do most of the work. So I just kind of hold the ear flap back and I start just working it all into the ear, and he's going to shake, which is what I want him to do. So then I can take a look. So I always kind of pull the ear flap up a little bit so I can look in. You don't want to use Q-tips into the ears because you only really want to be able to clean what you can see unless otherwise directed by your veterinarian. Because using a cotton ball can easily do some damage further down in the ear if you go too deep. So I always just like to use cotton balls or cotton pads. So then I like to take a dry cotton ball and just start to wipe some of the excess out. And it's okay if the ear area is a little bit wet, because I'd rather have clean ears and a little bit wet around the ear instead of still gross ears. So the other area you want to make sure you get is the very tips and the skin area of the ear can tend to get really gross, as well as this base of the ear back here. Now again, I'm kind of keeping him up to my body, thank you, just to make sure he's not going to go anywhere. You can do this on your kitchen counter with them facing a wall. Another option that I'm going to show you with Pandy is to wrap them in a towel. So I'll go ahead and do his other ear. Remember, we're going to get it nice and saturated. And I'm going to let the product really do the work. So I'm kind of squeezing the cotton ball just to get a little bit in, and then I want them to shake it around. Good boy. And just make sure you keep your own eyes out of the way so you don't get any product in your eyes either. But that kind of gravity motion is going to help to break up a lot of the gunk, but it's also going to help to fling it to the outside so you can wipe it out. So now with my grooming appointments, I include ear and eye cleaner with all of my grooms, because usually I can get a lot cleaner after a bath than just on a standalone, especially the eye area, because that all gets nice and softened. He's a good boy, huh? You want to shake again? Good boy. Thank you. And then I'll just take my small comb and comb out around those damp parts, just so it doesn't get all clumpy afterwards. Good job. What a good boy. Okay, and so now I'll show you another way to do the ears. And just give me a sec to go get Pandy. Okay, So here we are with Pandy, and again, I'm going to wrap her in a towel so that you guys can see what that looks like if you have a cat that maybe you're doing some ear medications, or maybe they are recovering from ear medications and they've got really gunky ears and they're really not going to be very cooperative. So I put a nice large towel on my table, and I'm going to encourage them to lay right in the middle of it. I'm going to hold the towel up over their paws, that way it tucks their paws in. Then with one side, I'm going to wrap snugly and tuck it right underneath their front feet. So now, because she's just laying there, obviously I can let go, but if your cat is not laying up, not just standing there, just laying there, then what you want to do is you want to do this very quickly. So that way they're locked in, because you're going to use their own body weight to help hold down the corner of the towel. So again, put them in the middle. You're going to pick up and cover their paws. Then you're going to take one side and you're going to tuck them in nice and snug and tuck it under their front feet. And then you're going to have the other side nice and snug. So now they're in a little kitty burrito. All of their paws are tucked in and their head is out. So that way you can have access to the eye and the ear area. I will also do this if I have to pill a cat who doesn't really like it, but it's only going to work if you have a nice big fluffy towel and you've really locked them in underneath. Don't be afraid to do it nice and snug. You can always loosen it up, but if it's too loose, they're just going to escape. So snug is better. So again, we're going to go in with our ear cleaner, and her ears are gunky, but they're not quite so bad. So again, no Q-tips. We don't want to put Q-tips inside the ear canal, only cotton balls. I'm trying to let you guys see, so I'm just trying to not lean over so much. Okay, so that's our first round. That's fine. All right, so here's our second round. And that's our second cotton ball. And again, I've got my little comb, and I can just break up some of these sections at the base of the ear. There's nice little goats here. Just to make sure it's all nice and clean. Right? You can use my towel, just pat it dry. You really don't have to worry about patting the ears dry too much. Remember I said that the ear cleaners have a drying agent in them. So as long as they're cat safe, and you can always test it out on yourself if you have a little paper cut or something like that to make sure it's not going to sting. And we'll just slide her around. Hold the ear back and just gently work the product into the ear canal. And so I'm kind of putting the cotton ball behind my finger and I'm rubbing onto the back of my finger. Look up for the camera, silly. Okay. So it's very gentle. You can always go back in. Like I said, cotton balls are really inexpensive, so feel free to use multiples. But if you're noticing that your cat's ears are getting really gunky on a really regular basis, then you might want to rule out an ear infection by having them checked out by a vet. Certain, ear gunkiness. So we can see we've got some kind of brown color on our ear and eye cotton balls. This kind of light tan when it comes off, perfectly normal. However, if you're noticing that when you're doing this, if your cat is reaching up and scratching with their back leg when you're kind of starting to clean, I tend to notice that that's usually a good sign that they need to be seen by a vet for their ear, because ear infections start way down deep inside the ear canal, and by the time you really see it or smell it, it's probably already a good sized ear infection. Where if your cat is really, rubbing or leaning its head or trying to scratch right around at the base of its ear, probably an ear infection. It's really easy for cats to get ear infections, even indoor cats. It really has nothing to do if they go indoor or outdoor, but it is always something you want to check, because an ear infection left unattended can actually cause paralysis. It can cause neurological damage, because then the ear infection kind of travels up into other areas, and you certainly don't want that. So always a good idea to have it double checked. Finally, if you're worried if your cat has mites, a good thing to remember is that you will not be able to see the mites themselves. The mites are these tiny little white dots, and they're going to be way deep down inside the ear. What you would see is what would look like wet, used coffee grounds in your cat's ear or your dog's ear. Mites are very contagious between dogs and cats. It's very easily treated with medication from your vet, but it looks like wet coffee grounds is usually a good rule of thumb. So anytime I see anything kind of grainy or really dark, because something dark brown or dark kind of rusty red is usually dried blood, and I want to make sure that it's not something like mites, not something like fleas, because the evidence that you're seeing, that coffee ground looking product, is actually the poop from the ear mites. So that's what you're seeing, and that's why it's that dark color. So you're not actually seeing the mites, you're seeing the leftovers. So that's how you gently clean your cat's ears, and I'll see you guys in the next video.